Next up, we have a gentleman that some of you will have seen before, and we're switching gears to the topic of ecosystems architecture. So Rahul, who is the head of research Decentralized Technology Lab at Honda R&D Europe, will be updating us on the work that's been going on. We've had for some time now a ecosystems architecture activity within our architecture forum. They published a book which was very well received and encouraged them to go further. So Rahul will update us on what's been going on and the relevance and power of ecosystems architecture. So a little bit about him first. He's exploring how the convergence of decentralized technologies with AI is creating future shocks for business and society. He's the co-author of the Ecosystems Architecture, New Thinking for Practitioners in the Age of AI, and he examines new architectural approaches for hyper-enterprise systems. So please, a warm welcome back to the from the Open Group to Rahul.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much for joining the session today. Steve, thank you very much for hosting this ecosystem architecture session today. As Steve mentioned, we have a small working group called Ecosystem Architecture Working Group, which sits under the main architecture forum. Andrew is our forum director as well. So we have been working on this topic as almost the next evolution from enterprise architecture. We have published a book. There is a second book in progress right now. There's a lot of stuff which we cannot share because that book is under progress and review. So I'm going to share some breadcrumbs about what we are thinking about ecosystem architecture, what could be its interplay with AI, and more importantly, is there really a future? Is it going to be a big bang or is it going to end up in a whimper? So what would be the big bang endgame for enterprise to ecosystem architecture transactions? So one of the biggest challenge today, which has come as part of the scale up, the complexity, bigger, better, faster desire from all the companies to expand globally, is it is becoming very, very hard to scale systems to meet the business requirement as well as the customer's expectations right now. AI has suddenly come up into the scene with a lot of promise, a lot of magic fairy dust as well. What would be the impact of that transition onto the practice of enterprise and hopefully ecosystem architecture as a field? My bet is, of course, it's going to be a big bang. There are going to be a lot of changes which will happen as part of the future tools and practices as well. So just to set the baseline, what I mean by enterprise is this. When we talk of enterprise, and especially when we are applying TOGAF or any such thing, it is within this box, which is a silo mostly. It is fixed, it is boundaries, it is controlled by some central authority or a committee or a CEO or something. Okay. Where we're heading now already, and a lot of large enterprises are already in this situation, is actually they are just one small box who have to interplay with other boxes, other enterprises throughout the market. There is no standalone enterprises anymore. Every enterprise has to interact with a lot of other enterprises as well. What this naturally leads into is an ecosystem of enterprise, a system of systems, a platform of platforms. And that's the landscape, that's the baseline where we are starting now. Just to clearly set up a compare and contrast, like how does enterprise differ from ecosystem? So there is a clear control exerted on an enterprise, whereas ecosystem, pretty much like a forest, is not really under anybody's control. An enterprise typically runs business as a bidirectional exchange of value and services. Ecosystem is multi-directional, multi-party. In terms of structure, an enterprise, you can definitely put an organization chart. You cannot put an organization chart for ecosystem. It's basically fractal in nature. You can't really discern the boundaries. You can't discern the departments and some such things which are possible in enterprises right now. And most importantly, and this is the attribute which is causing us the greatest challenge, is the speed of evolution. Because enterprise is tightly controlled, their speed, growth, evolution can be managed. However, as an ecosystem, nobody controls it. And this evolution is not really under one party's control. And that basically introduces a lot of challenges when we start thinking about what happens when we start to think about how to design systems, services, platform, and product for an ecosystem. And these are already happening out there. They're just not really publicly visible as entities right now. So what are the challenges? The first challenge which comes with ecosystem is ecosystem changes in space as well as time much more rapidly than an enterprise. How would you architect for such a challenge where your requirements, your business practice need to change across space and time? We do not have tools for that. We do not have frameworks for that right now. Second important attribute which happens is the concept of emergence, because we do not control each and every part, each and every component, each and every subsystem of an ecosystem. Things happen outside our control. It leads to some unintended, unpredictable side effects, which leads to emergence. Some people call it ghost in the machine as well. The result of all these challenges is, as an architect, as an enterprise architect, it has broken the limit of what we can hold in our heads and within our tools. So this is a concept called headful that we introduced in a book as well. It is not feasible for even a group of architects to hold what is required to manage the development of an ecosystem architecture as a practice future. So what's the answer? AI. Everybody, so AI, all the roads lead to AI right now, but my hypothesis, which is the foundation of my work over here, is that AI is necessary, but not sufficient. So what do we need besides AI? What we need is a convergence of three things, three concepts, three research topics almost. The first one is Gen AI, second is agent, and the third one is decentralization. So Gen AI provides the intelligence, the execution, the decentralization ensures the trust, and agent create the automated execution in the landscape of ecosystem. So when you combine and converge these three things, we get a resilient ecosystem and a method to hopefully architect in a way that we can manage with emerging toolkits over there. I'm going to rush through this one right now because people already know about Gen AI, what Gen AI can do for us. So if we put Gen AI in the context of ecosystem, because of its capability to map, harness knowledge bases automatically, we can conduct a lot of mapping of relationships, and we can uncover a lot of hidden connections and opportunity which are not possible to be done by manual analysis, as we do usually as architects. Knowledge synthesis and discovery, again, LLMs, quite clearly a good use case for knowledge discovery. More importantly, from customer perspective or end user perspective, the amount of data which the customer or the end user are willing to share with us can allow us to personalize the results for them, tailor-make the results for them. More importantly, we can even create situations where if there are a lot of collaborators in a particular product or platform design, maybe you don't even trust them as companies, so there are a lot of competitors probably even for you. How would you design contracts for these situations? Manual contracts are not possible in these situations right now. So we are exploring options like DAO, for example, decentralized autonomous organizations, where you can create smart contract-based rules to control, manage, track contributions and reward scheme over there. Agents, again, agents and multi-agents more importantly, they can autonomously manage tasks like resource allocation, transaction execution, and even dispute resolution without a central control. So they govern, they have some knowledge, they have some memory, and they apply some self-governing rules as well to participate and collaborate. Agents also introduce scalability and resilience, which is required for ecosystem-level challenges over there. Agents can dynamically adapt the behavior based upon the environment, feedback they receive from the environment, and how the conditions are changing around them. More importantly, in the context of ecosystem, we need to do things where human beings in the loop are not causing the delays. So agents can become a way to automate the value exchange among different participants and reducing the friction in time as well. And decentralization. So this is my topic of research at Honda, and this was the biggest missing component which we have identified as part of the second book as well. This is where anything that you want to do in ecosystem is based upon data flows. And the biggest challenge with data flow is if you want good interaction, trusted interaction, you need to be able to trust the data. Today, that's quite a big challenge considering the way we capture the data, store the data, manipulate the data as well. And decentralization approaches are looking up to be the most promising solution for these kind of challenges with data, veracity, provenness, and everything over there. Of course, when you combine that with decentralized identity, you can assign identity not just to humans, but also to machines, and then machine-to-machine collaboration suddenly becomes automatically possible, which is then used to create automated trust mechanisms using smart contracts, etc. One of the key challenge which decentralization solves for us is how do you reward the participants? How do you reward the collaborators? And that's where the tokenization becomes quite an interesting mechanism. It can be done automatically via smart contracts, etc. And you can track it across the data flow automatically. So what would it look like in terms of the big bang that I started in the beginning is what I'm calling a generative ecosystem. It is done not just by humans planning consciously for all the requirements, development, design, but it is generated by using all the three technologies that are converging in one go over there. Ron is here, I think. Hi, Ron. I took your cube for the interoperation over there. So Ron has a draft in progress right now for interoperability framework.
It's been submitted to the staff.
Yeah.
Reviewed by the architecture forum.
Yes. So unfortunately, if we do things right, we would not necessarily need that hard-coded as well. Because our expectation is when you put agents, Gen AI, in decentralized situation, all the interoperability requirements will be managed by machines, by agents automatically. If they need to talk to one API to get the data and send it to another endpoint to send the data in a different API format, agents will do the transformation automatically. We don't need to write specs and transformation rules and all that stuff. Agents can do automatically in whichever language you are setting the two systems over there. What this leads to is almost a free side effect is a trustless interaction and trustful data. These are the two holy grail for system design today. Not many technologies can guarantee both things at the same time. And by convergence of these three technologies, which I mentioned before, it is possible to get a trustless interaction across the ecosystem while ensuring that whatever the data is in the play is fully trustworthy. And this is where our research is still in progress. We are still looking at a long list of hard problems. I'm only sharing two, which we are still trying to solve. And the first one is explainable ecosystem. And the problem is, because nobody's in control of ecosystem, there's no central authority governing, auditing, managing the compliance, etc. If I, as a customer, get something from a company which is part of the ecosystem, how do I trust that is a good value to me, that is a correct answer for me, that is a good data for me? So there is an open set of questions around that kind of challenges. How do we ensure ethics, governance, conflict resolution, contract negotiations, and more importantly, rewards allocation across the ecosystem as well. So these are all open problems right now. And more importantly, any business who wants to invest $1 in ecosystem approach, they have to understand what is the ROI, how would they make money, what's the benefit for investing in ecosystem approach rather than whatever the traditional approaches are right now. And that is where we need to look at new economy models, new business models, which become possible when companies move from enterprise to ecosystem player. And these are things like autonomous value exchange, multi-party co-creation, and co-optation. Co-optation is a very interesting concept, quite old, but I think this is quite relevant in the scope of ecosystem architecture, where you may need to work with your competition, today's competitor, to create a very unique value which you can give to the customer as a collaboration outside right now. You cannot do that as an enterprise on your own. You have to combine your effort with your competitors now to make that value possible. Another thing which is not in the list here, but actually quite important for Europe, is a lot of data regulations are coming in Europe, and they are mandating all the companies to share the data freely with customer consent. So a while back, there was this data is the new oil thing, but that oil is now has to flow freely because regulation is mandating that free flow now. So how the companies are going to make money from all the data? Those are the questions where ecosystem approach suddenly becomes much more valuable for companies to take. But we are trying to find a way to explain that to that ecosystem approach to CXOs of the companies and how to sell that over there. One last question, which I'll leave open. I'm not going to discuss in detail because that's part of my second session in the afternoon, is how, as a company, do we become an ecosystem player? And in the context of the open group, what kind of framework is needed for, as part of standardization, as part of ensuring that cross-company collaboration happens? Those things do not exist today. But my ambition is, in a few years' time, we would be able to evolve TOGAF to be not just an enterprise-centric standard and framework, but also an ecosystem-centric standard and framework. That's the ambition with us today. So again, I'm still betting upon the big bang part, not the whimper part, but I do need all of your collaborations, all of your contributions to come and join and contribute in the ecosystem architecture working group if this topic is of interest to you. So we have bi-weekly meetings. We have published a book. We are currently writing a second book right now. So I'm really interested in getting case studies of companies who may not know they're already playing a role in an ecosystem as part of their current business practices right now. And we will help you discover, recognize that play as well. Thank you very much for your time. Happy to take any questions.
Yes, please take a seat, Rahul. We do have a couple of questions. So thank you for that. It's good to hear the So how far along on the second book are you?
So we have quite a good chapter on the AI tooling, or rather AI approach to apply into the tooling. We have a few case studies, but not good enough. And I'm writing quite a lot on the decentralization value into the whole ecosystem play right now. That's the current work in progress.
Okay, good. And you've got some early collaborators, but you've had more of an expanded group?
We are going through a flux.
Right, okay.
As in, a few members have retired, so they have left as well.
Yes, yeah.
Actually, I have one of the co-authors over here, Phil, Paul Hoban.
Yes.
Phil is retired right now.
Yeah.
Paul, raise your hands.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Paul.
Well-known troublemaker.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so can we go back to basics a bit? The statement you made: no company is alone anymore. They're all part of an ecosystem. And then at the end, you kind of suggested that companies may not realize that they're in an ecosystem. Can you expand on that a bit more?
So for the first point, a good example is every major company, from Microsoft to Apple to Facebook, everybody has to collaborate for getting their LLMs working with the data that they need. And one way or the other, it's quite a close-knit flow of money, investment, data across happening over there. So even though all of these companies are competing with each other, they still are forced to collaborate for these new kind of technologies to make it possible, because there is only so much data in the world. Right. There's only so many data centers in the world as well. So that's the first part. Second part is, especially this is something which I noticed when on the Open Group India Summit. There are a lot of companies which are working at a scale where enterprise architecture approaches do not work, simply because there are just too many silos happening within the company boundaries. So effectively what you are forced to do is to treat those companies as other companies and create contracts and negotiate with them for sharing whatever resources they have to share, information, data, across the boundaries of those silos over there. So they are, the only way those companies can work together is to be an implicit ecosystem among themselves, basically.
Right.
And this is a trend which is also happening on the Western side, in Europe and US as well. It is just not so prominent or accepted or acknowledged at all.
Right, right, right. And you said you'd like to get feedback, and so do look for Rahul while he's here. You have another session this afternoon in the Architecture Industry Awareness Day as well to expand on that. AI is necessary but not sufficient. And you talked a little about what else we need, part of which is architecture and architects and not maybe the future of TOGAF is to can cope with ecosystems as well. What other components do you need beyond AI as we know it can help right now?
So I've listed all the technology part already, but I think one of the key things is in terms of professional practice. We do need to evolve ourselves as beyond enterprise architects towards ecosystem architects over there. I know a few people who have actually changed their title on LinkedIn now, and they're calling themselves as ecosystem architects. So I would count them as one of the early adopters of this practice. I think there is some discussion maybe happening on the practice side of the group as well, how to flesh it out as a new role, which can be recognized across the organizations as well. So those are the things which would be important to make this happen. But one of the key challenge for me right now is how do we sell this story to CXOs? How do we make them understand that they need to invest the future of the company in this new approach over there? And that's something which we are working. And that is the reason we are asking for feedback from whoever is willing to talk to us at that level, just to understand what story would make them say yes to adopt this approach in their companies.
Sounds very familiar to what I've heard about enterprise architecture over the year. Exactly. We have to sell it to the CXOs.
I'm quite aware a lot of us are still struggling with the adoption of enterprise architecture. I'm creating a new problem for you now.
Rahul, great stuff. We'll leave it there, but thank you for joining us today. And Rahul will be saying more in the Architecture Industry Awareness Day this afternoon for those of you who are interested in hearing more. And he's always happy to talk.
Cool.
So,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.